Hi, Richard Silk here with tips and practical advice that was told through stories, all about relationship. Today I want to talk about being right, the upside to it and the downside to it. Certainly all like to be right. It's a wonderful feeling to be right and to be correct and handle yourself well and so on, and have a good, well-judged point of view about what's going on around you and everything. And then there's the downside, which can be a really big one, and that's what I want to talk about today, where people get to a point where they're just really sticking on being right in a relationship. Some kind of argument comes up. I was talking to a couple just recently. It was all about childcare. They both had really good points. One was the man, when I listened to them talk, the man was saying that he felt like his wife just nagged and kept coming to him and kind of preached to him and that kind of thing. And on her side, she just talked about how she felt like her husband wasn't listening and she couldn't get his attention. So I'm sure the way it played out, if you could see the two of them, in a stressful situation or whatever, they both had something true about what both of them were saying. I'm sure that's no question about that. The point being that when I was talking with him, it took a bit to get to the point where they weren't just holding to their own point of view for the sake of being right. And that's where it becomes really negative and undermining, where being right becomes more important than the relationship. And saying that you're right and just sticking to that point. And if you've been in that kind of a situation before, which chances are pretty good that you have, one of the ways you can tell is it gets to be an argument where you got one side and another side and it's just loggerheads. It can rise to that level. So, going through a dialogue, I got them to see, okay, it was actually true. Each of them could see, without going a lot into the content of it here in just this short clip, each of them could see that there was something right about what the other person was saying, that the other person did have a point. It wasn't like the other person was just totally categorically, dreaming and imagining what it was that was happening. So what to do, the man asked me. He said, well, where do we go from here? What do we do tomorrow morning, And so I said, well, how about if you try this? How about if you try when you get to that moment where you're struggling and you're each clearly, you can feel that you're starting to come to loggerheads and you're holding on to a point of view, holding on to a position, and the other person has one that's very different than that, which from their feeling and what they observe and from their point of view has its legitimacy. When you get to that point, how about if you say, hey, okay, we're doing it again. Kind of throw up your hands and let it go and drop it and either move away, or if you can hug each other and restore yourself to a relationship, that's ideal. Hug can go a long, long way. But in any case, the idea of we are doing it again. And when I suggested that, the woman said, boy, I really like that, because and so did the man, as we talked about it, because it's like the two of them recognizing that they're each doing something, the other has a point of view, and the relationship becomes more important than their being right. Being right is not necessarily also going to wind up giving you a happy resolve in a relationship. That's a tip for today. Hope that's useful to you, and see you next time.